Back with you. First round of the Western Conference playoffs finished up last night. Let's move on to the West semis, which start tonight. We start with the Nuggets and Timberwolves. The teams are facing off in the playoffs for the third time, including last year. Split the season series this year with Anthony Edwards averaging 26 points per game and Nikola Jokic averaging over 33. Edwards averaged 31.6 points per game against the Nuggets in last year's playoffs and 31 points per game against the Suns this year. He's the fourth player at age 22 or younger to average 30 points in a consecutive playoff series. In a matchup to watch, Jokic versus Gobert. Gobert has defended 306 shots against Jokic and the closest defender in any in his career. Let's get more from the NBA Countdown crew.
One of the most highly anticipated series of the second round gets underway. Stephen A. Smith, Bob Myers, Michael Wilbon. I'm Malika Andrews. Of course, we're talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. Remember, they split the regular season 2-2. It took 41 points from Nikola Jokic for the Nuggets to get the win in their last game of the regular season. When we go back to last postseason, Stephen A., 4 of those 5 wins, they were decided by single digits. Yeah. So we know, it's easy to say why the Denver Nuggets are going to win. Mm-hmm. Go out on a limb here. Tell me why it is that the Minnesota Timberwolves could go into Denver and split these first 2 games.
Because I have a dream.
Oh, my goodness.
I have a dream.
My Lord.
All right? We got Jokic and Jamal Murray doing their thing, but Minnesota won't go away. We got Michael Porter doing his thing along with Aaron Gordon, but Minnesota won't go away. It's a tight game, Wilbon. It's a tight game, Bob Myers, and it's a nail-biter. And then Anthony Edwards, as the game wanes and the moment is tight. We mentioned MJ. We mentioned Kobe. And what we're asking is to see if you got that in you. Let us find out. That is the dream of this series.
Okay.
Thank you, Pastor.
Okay, I'm actually awake. I'm awake. I'm not dreaming. I'm looking at the defending champs. I worry about Minnesota in the half court. I'm awake. You don't have to pinch me. This guy maybe still be asleep. Denver's the champs, and I do think they're a little worse than last year. I do think Minnesota's a little better.
Okay, they have Nasri Jaden McDaniels back.
But you still got the best player in the NBA in Nikola Jokic. Murray, we've seen what he can do. We saw it a week ago, 2-game winners. I worry about what you saw Minnesota do to Phoenix, they will not do to Denver. Against Denver's defense, it's going to be a lot harder.
But, I worry about Jamal Murray and KCP and their health. If they've got little things going into this game, and we know Jamal Murray was to the point of do I play or not in a game in which he hits a game winner. So you got Reed and McDaniels, who did not play last year, who will play this year. You got size. Minnesota's got size in abundance because you got the 2 of them. And, of course, you start with Gobert and Cat. And then you go to the bad man who's haunting Stephen A. in his dreams. And I don't know that I have the guts to pick Minnesota.
Too smart.
But Bob?
What?
This is going to be like a 6 or 7-game series.
With Denver.
I agree with Bob. I don't have the guts either because of what you said. But one game will tell me otherwise.
Well, Tim Connolly did largely build this Denver Nuggets team, also the general manager that largely built this Minnesota Timberwolves team. It is going to come down to the wire, and we can't wait. Stephen A., he's dreaming.
Never a doubt with Kai. In Dallas, Tim McMahon, ESPN.
Thanks, Tim. With that, we're going to bring on our NBA analyst, Scott Perry, with more on the Clippers and that early exit, because they looked like a legit championship contender until those injuries derailed those expectations. Scott, how realistic, though, is it to keep the big 3 with Kawhi, Paul George, and Harden?
Christina, it's definitely realistic. And here's why. They've already started the process earlier this season by extending Kawhi Leonard's contract. And due to the restrictive nature of their cap situation, they're almost forced to make sure they keep Paul George and James Harden, because making trades will be very difficult for this team. As you noted, when the 3 of these guys were together and healthy, they look very poised to make a deep run in these playoffs. So you got to try to bring them back together again. And also, I think how you get better is internal development for some of the younger players. In particular, Terrence Mann, who continues to get better each season, is someone you look to carry more of a load during the regular season next year. And maybe young wing players like Brandon Boston and Moses Brown make a step up. That's what you need when you're not able to bring a lot of new pieces to your team. They can take a page from the Miami Heat's book. They do an excellent job of developing second-round picks and undrafted players and making them key components to a winning basketball team.
Yeah, you need your players healthy, Scott. That's obvious, and it's never a good time to have to deal with that, much less in the playoffs. We haven't only seen that with the Clippers. We saw that with the 76ers as well. We're going to take it to the East because they're in a similar spot with injuries hampering their playoff run. Who's a potential free agent who could help this team take that next step?
The name that you hear most often is Paul George, and I'm in agreement with that name for the Philadelphia 76ers. They need a big-time two-way wing player. Paul George will give them a reliable 20 to 25 point a game scorer. He has a history of playing well alongside other all-star players. They're going to need somebody alongside Tyrese Maxey, especially and Joel Embiid, to help carry the load in the regular season, because as we've seen, it's been difficult for Joel Embiid to be healthy come to playoff time. So if they can get a reliable guy like a Paul George to fit with those two guys, I think it improves their fortunes during the regular season to have a higher seed, and hopefully Joel Embiid will be healthy enough next time around in the playoffs so the Sixers can make a deep run.
Yeah, that's always a hope for Embiid, because even with all those injuries and the illness, of course, we know that he still really showed up. But Philly hasn't made even the Eastern Conference Final since 2001. More with Scott in a moment. Randy Scott?
I'll say it, Christina. In-season championship curse?
Oh.
The Lakers fired Darvin Ham yesterday, doing so after a two-season run in L.A. that saw Ham take the Lakers to the Western Conference Finals just last year and then win the in-season tournament title this year. But losing in 5 to Denver in the first round last month was all the front office needed to see, apparently. Ham did get the Lakers to that conference final last season against the eventual champion Denver Nuggets, but this year's result was more of the same for LA recently. Since winning the 2020 title in the bubble, the Lakers have gone without a playoff series win in 3 of the last 4 seasons, and they've lost 8 of their last 9 playoff games. So, Scott Perry, what do you make of this decision in Los Angeles to move on from Darvin Ham?
Randy, from where I sit, I was not in favor of this move of getting rid of Darvin Ham for the reasons you just mentioned. In 2 years, he's done a really good job. He's amassed a 90-74 record. They go to the conference finals in his first year, losing to the eventual champion Denver Nuggets, and then come back and lose to them again in the first round of the playoffs. Now, having been part of having to make these kind of decisions as a front office executive and move on, it's going to be very important that you have someone in mind who is an upgrade over Darvin Ham. And the only person I can think of right now with a championship pedigree who is readily available is a guy like Mike Budenholzer, who has a championship ring, and maybe he can walk into that locker room with that kind of pedigree and for guys like LeBron James and Anthony Davis to buy into.
Tentar jogar mais lento, pô. Tentar dar menos a cara.
Mesmo com vantagem numérica, tudo pode acontecer. Lembre-se disso.
Fazer eco, mano. Dissects a Reina. Americano.
Matei alguém.
Que arma no meu corpo, sabe?
Você não matará meus aliados!
Eles estão tudo lá.
Arma aqui.
Não está pronta. Não está pronta. Sem espiar.
Restam 30 segundos.
Acho que eles fecham pra bem.
Tudo bem.
Câmera derrubada. Peguei um.
Spike plantada.
Cala essa boca.
Último jogador vivo.
Inimigo abatido.
Resta um inimigo.
Ultimate pronta. Isso não é problema.
Última rodada antes da troca.
Gasta tudo. Não vamos voltar mais. Ataque autorizado. Arma na mão.
Eles vão temer.
Fecha a porta, Reina.
Muito bom.
Provavelmente foram B.
Acabando com eles.
Tô voltando aqui
Eles
base.
estão esperando a gente avançar.
Restam 30 segundos. Último jogador vivo. Troca de lados.
Opa, pra onde? Aqui.
Meus olhos serão nossa vantagem. Aqui.
Suprimindo!